Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for sticking with us at the Soca Mom Summit. We are really glad you're here. And I have some amazing entrepreneurs from all over to talk to you about their background, how they deal with their fears, and what they're doing to keep things going during this unusual time in our world. I'm going to start with a question. We're just going to jump right into it, and each person will introduce themselves to you and then answer the question. So, what is it in your history, in your background, that drove you to want to have your own business, to kind of start your own business? What is it culturally that moved you in that direction? We'll start with Nicole.
Oh, we'll start with me. Hi, everyone. I'm Nicole Barrett, and I live I'm in New England, as I'd like to say, but more or less Boston. I'm originally from Jamaica, and I have a company. I have a couple companies, SY Global. And at this company, we represent hotels around the world, mainly in the Caribbean at the moment. And I also work with and train travel pros who want to market and grow their businesses. So for me, it has been, I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur, even though I started my main marketing travel career with Sandals Resorts. I grew up seeing my mom as an entrepreneur, and I grew up seeing the determination and the freedom that she had to do the things that she's always wanted to do. And I'm a freedom seeker at heart, especially, being in travel. So I've always wanted the freedom to kind of run a business from anywhere and to work from anywhere. And for me, entrepreneurship was that path.
Awesome. Okay, so Kerri, let's hear what drove you.
So my name is Kerri-Ann Reid Brown. I'm the founder of Carry-On Friends, the Caribbean American podcast, one of the first podcasts dedicated to the Caribbean American experience. I was born in Jamaica and raised in Brooklyn. I also started a podcast production company called Breadfruit Media, and I also founded the Caribbean Podcast Directory. And what drove me to entrepreneurship was just people, family, and life, everything around me. My maternal grandmother, she ran a daycare. When she lost that job, daycare moved into our house. She'd sell everything, ice, drops, whatever, baked goods. And my paternal grandmother was pretty much the same thing. My granduncles were fishermen. So I just grew up around people who always had businesses, ran businesses. Across the street, my cousin's mom was a dressmaker, and she had her busiest time in the summer. So I just saw how they did it. And I just feel like, I don't know any other way but to do this. And my husband jokes, says, you can't stand still, even if I wanted to. So entrepreneurship is just something that I feel like was just in my DNA. And no matter how much I want to say, you know what, maybe I should keep quiet, I can't. So that's really my influence from a family standpoint.
So Jodi, tell us how you got started and what motivated you.
Okay, so my name is Jodi Covington, and my entrepreneurship journey kind of started back in 2011. I think growing up between Bermuda and United States, I was able to kind of see my grandfather have his own business building things, and everyone that I knew kind of really worked for themselves. When you're in the islands, I know the ladies can attest, you see a lot of people that have, if they do work a regular job, they also have like a bunch of side gigs and a bunch of things that they did. So I kind of grew up in that environment. For me, I think entrepreneurship, it must be a genetic code within our minds. It's something that every time as I grew up and got regular jobs, it's just like, oh my goodness, I don't like to work for other people. I like to kind of work with other people, but I didn't like being restricted to certain hours of the day and the whole 9 yards. So in 2012, I kind of made the decision to kind of venture into entrepreneurship. And it was through a couple of political campaigns that I landed working with the government in Bermuda and some other really cool projects with BET that I was like, you know what, I can really do this on my own. And I started to formulate a plan to leave that government job that I had. Actually worked for the Department of Tourism before I decided, well, the Tourism Authority in Bermuda, before I decided to leave there and really do things on my own. But I saved up enough money to do it. And I jumped out and I started my own marketing and PR firm. I have 2 master's degrees, one in professional counseling and one in PR and marketing. And I always say that my counseling degree always helps me with the different clients that I have and ways to communicate effectively with them. And I just find joy and peace. I love what I do. I love being able to freely travel, to set my schedule the way that I want to set it, and to also set who I work with. I'm at a level where I now have a lot of experience and I've done a lot of great things. So I'm able to kind of pick the projects and clients that I work with. And I love it. I wouldn't change what I do. Entrepreneurship is for me. I've now branched off to do other little things in addition to my marketing firm. So that's kind of how I got started, and culturally how I've seen a lot of women and men in the islands doing their own thing. And it kind of just runs through my blood.
Awesome. So Kalilah, tell us how you got started and what it was in your history that motivated you.
Hi, everyone. Again, my name is Kalilah Wright, and I'm the owner of a t-shirt company called Mess in a Bottle. And so for me, I think that I'm an architect and designer, and I did not realize like how entrepreneurship. So I always assumed and thought that, you know, I was going to work for someone else, work in the field of architecture, but I ended up really venturing out into my own. I mean, I think there was history of my grandparents, you know, also owning their own businesses as well. But I wasn't directly impacted where my parents owned a business. So I think for me, I didn't have the entrepreneur mindset, but as things I think began to develop, you know, I just realized that this is definitely a profession that I can transition into. And I've been doing it for the last almost 5 years, being a full-time entrepreneur.
It seems like seeing other people own businesses has been important in getting you going and getting you started and having that in the back of your mind. So I'm hoping that this session will kind of help people who have been thinking about it. They say, okay, I see people like me who are doing it. But also, I want to talk about the fears that you all have had to overcome and how knowing how to overcome those fears has helped you in this new season that we're going through right now. So I will start with Nicole again.
So fear of entrepreneurship for me comes down to some of my own personal fears, right? A lot of people don't even realize that going into business for yourself will immediately bring up some underlying fears that you've always had that you probably even haven't acknowledged. So for me, it was kind of like, am I good enough? Am I ready? But what I found out is that I have always been ready. Like I knew enough to be dangerous. I just needed to believe a little bit more in the fact that the process doesn't just start and end, but it will continue. And there will be a journey where you will ultimately learn a little bit more day by day. So that doesn't mean that the fear has gone away. It is with me every single day. I just learn to live with it because, as you may know, many of you may know, it's like a different level, different devil, right? So you feel a different fear today and you overcome it. And then tomorrow it is a completely different fear or the same fear that has evolved into something else. But I always say, you know what, with this fear, I acknowledge it and I say, you know what, thank you for letting me know that I'm onto something. And then I move on. And then the process and the journey really leads me to being like something amazingly beautiful. And that is what I live for.
Now let's talk to Kerri. Tell us what you think.
Nicole kind of hit it on the head, and you know, fear shows up in different ways. So for me, fear was the Virgo in me. I'm a planner. Everything has to be organized. So you spend a lot of time planning and mapping everything out in your head. But that is the fear, right? So you need it to be so perfect. So you spend a lot of time, you know, creating a very perfect plan. And I also you know, the first level of entrepreneurship is uncovering your childhood and personal issues underlying that. The fear, you have to be right. You know, Caribbean, I get 90, should be 100, so it has to be perfect. So we start with these hangups because we want it to be perfect right out the gate, and it's not going to be perfect out the gate. And then I had to uncover something very personal to me that happened as a child, where I was in a lot of things, and I remember the ridicule of people who knew I had no choice but to do it, because if grandma said to do this, I have to do it, thinking that I was being extra because I was doing this. So I found myself like slinking or fading to the background because I didn't want to be out front. So I was looking for other examples of people who did this already, and there was no example, or there was no one else who did it. And the messages were clear that you should start this, you should start this. But I never wanted to be that first, because I also I didn't want the responsibility of being criticized for being the first, because I didn't have an example. Again, going back to the perfectionist. And so once I identified this, I just had to learn to work through this. And a lot of times I had to associate myself with other people who had no problems, AKA a lot of men. Men don't have this issue. They brag about being first. And so understanding what your fears are and going around other people who don't have those challenges and will push you out of a comfort zone. And like Nicole says, there are levels to this, right? So I overcome that. On the next level is a whole different thing. And so each level is just preparing yourself for, you know what, there's something that's going to be outside my comfort zone, but am I ready for this? And do I have the right people around me to support me to go through this next level? And yeah, it's never a one-stop thing. It's always a live and evergreen process of growing and going to each level. At each level, you expand your capacity. Just know that it's setting that baseline for you to go to that next level, and each level builds upon itself. Right?
So I'm gonna go to Kalilah real quick. Now, you were in architecture, am I correct?
Yes.
So what happened when you told your Jamaican family, I am going to make t-shirts right now? Like, this is what I'm going to do. What was the reaction? And did they put any fear into you that you didn't have before?
You know, I think my parents, they know I'm a little off at times, and you know, they know I'm a little, you know, I'm their wild child. So I think that they were prepared for me to do, you know, throw a monkey wrench in things and do something different. But I mean, I think, of course, as Jamaican parents, you know, you giving up this steady paycheck, you know, you have a lot of, you know, this is what I was professionally trained in. You know, of course, my parents are like, we took out student loans, we did all this stuff for you to, you know, go into this field of architecture. And now you are giving it up for, like you said, t-shirts. So I think, you know, I don't even know now if my parents even still know what I do. You know, I think like typical Caribbean parents, you know, they worry about the professions that are, you know, maybe really large that people kind of brag about. So I think there's like inundation of like entrepreneurship, and everybody, you know, now glorifying entrepreneurship. I think that has recently happened. So there was definitely you know, there was some fear. I'll say that for me, my biggest thing was just making sure that as a mom and as a single mom, I was going to be able to care for my son. You know, other than that, to me, I didn't have like too many worries. I knew that my architecture degree wasn't going anywhere. And though I was like leaving this prestigious job and this career in architecture, I knew that if I wanted to go back to it, all I had to do was work hard, apply for some jobs, and I would be back in that profession. So I think the fear lies with people not trying, as well as you not knowing what's on the other side of the door. And to me, that fear is better than going to a 9 to 5 every single day and not living your fullest potential. So, you know, I think there's always going to be a fear with taking a leap and going into something new. But the fear of you not doing it is probably worse to me than you trying and failing.
I fully understand all of that, especially the part about your parents having no idea what you do. Like, no. It's like, what? You're a blog. What is a blog? What? I don't. I don't understand. So
Yeah.
I've definitely had to go through that with my parents until I completed law school. And they're like, oh, so you're a lawyer now. Cool. So we can just tell people that. And that's, I don't have to explain
Enough
none
for
of that
them.
other stuff that you do. So, and I have not taken the bar exam. So I'm like, please don't tell nobody I'm a lawyer so they'll call me. Don't do that. But so Jodi, tell us what it's like having the backup plan, having the degrees. Do you ever feel like you want to give in and look for a job or something like that? I know Kalilah was talking about having a backup plan. Do you feel like your degrees are your backup plan, or do you feel like entrepreneurship is all that there is for you?
It's a great question. So for me, I jumped into entrepreneurship around the same time I went through a divorce. So initially, when I was starting talking about it with my ex-husband, I thought that I had kind of like a team approach. And then we went through a divorce. So that kind of extra income went immediately out the window. And it helped me. It's either that sink or swim type of mentality for me. So I chose to swim and I chose to thrive. And I ended up doing quite well for myself. But to answer your question, I do have 2 master's degrees. I worked in mental health for about 8 years before I transitioned into public relations and marketing, and then transitioning into opening my own firm. So entrepreneurship is it for me personally. Now, do I think I can potentially get back into, even if I go kind of not backwards, but if I take a pivot and get back into mental health, I can do that, but I would do it on my terms. I would open my own mental health business and, hire necessary staff to run it. I don't see myself applying for jobs and working for other people. I have been, I guess, credited for starting numerous businesses and helping with increasing growth and helping, kind of find that success for people. And I can apply those same tools that I give to everyone else to myself. So entrepreneurship for me is it. And I don't think that, having a degree is bad. I think it's definitely helped with maturity and some aspects, particularly my public relations and marketing degree was helpful with starting my own marketing firm. But I'm like pro entrepreneurship, even with my children. I practice those same habits with them now. We're starting a business. So for me, entrepreneurship is it. And I hope to stay in this realm. I have had more than a taste of it. I've been on my own since about 2013. And I've done very well for myself. So I can't see myself going back to work. And I think one of the other ladies spoke about the fact that it's more scary to me having to go back to a 9-to-5 than it is to jump off a cliff and build my parachute on the way down. I would rather jump and build my parachute than to go back to a 9-to-5.
Definitely. I probably put in more hours on this than I could for somebody. I'm not sure if I could do this as an employee situation. So I definitely get that. So I have one last question for you ladies. And really quickly, if you could give one piece of advice to everyone watching about fear, especially during this time, and we're all kind of wondering how we're going to move forward, especially when your business relied on travel or it relies on your employees being able to come in and out of the house or in and out of your offices. Can you give us quickly one piece of advice that you feel like everyone should have during this time? I'm going to start with Jodi again.
Okay, so I guess my piece of advice with what is going on today is let the fear actually power your creativity. Let it help you work harder and just be smarter. I mean, I think myself and the ladies, what sounds like the ladies have actually built a platform that has allowed them to kind of thrive through these situations. I personally work from home. A lot of my stuff is done online, and I've actually also launched this new necklace business of mine that I've been wanting to do for a little bit. I kind of had an idea, and I have this kind of Silk Sisters thing. So my biggest advice is just don't let the fear kick in to the point where it stops. Let it drive you. Let it motivate you. Let it sit down there, embrace it. I think understanding fear is the way that you get through it, and let it help you think of new innovative ways to do things. And I'll give a really, really quick example, with Uber Soca Cruise. Obviously we can't do too much. And I was sitting around like, I really want to communicate. I want to get the schedules out. I want to do all these things, but we can't, we have to be sensitive to what's going on. So instead of that, we chose to do like online free cool effects. And that was a amazing experience because we got over 60, 70,000 views, and people appreciated us doing that. And it keeps kind of us at the forefront with our passengers and our fans and the whole 9 yards. So get creative during this time. And hopefully that creativity brings in the money that you need to get through this process.
So Nicole, what do you think as far as dealing with fear and this very strange time that we're in?
Well, I mean, like Jodi, for me and my clients, they are mainly travel agents, right? Or people who are in the travel space. And like, with everything else, and Jodi knows, travel has stopped, right? So for them, the fear is real. So it's not so much a fear of being an entrepreneur. And it's not only just the fear of, am I going to get, income next month or within the next quarter or third quarter or fourth quarter? It is also like, can I eat? Right? They're like, there's a deep fear. But what I'm doing now, and I'm urging everyone and my clients to do now during this time, is to continue to build a brand of themselves, right? So don't forget that it goes back to the point, I forget who brought it up, that like I'm in my backup plan. Like, it's great, I have degrees as well, but I'm my backup plan. Degrees or not, I am my backup plan. So with that, I have to then build a brand. And like Jodi said, connect with people during this time in order to continue that. And that is, for me, kind of eliminates the fear just a little bit. But just also know that you have the answer. Like, enough to be dangerous. You have the answer on the inside. You will ultimately figure it out as long as you listen to yourself.
So Kerri, what do you think? Your business a lot of it is online. So have you needed to pivot, or do you have any real fears about that?
So because it's mostly online, haven't had to pivot, but being mindful that people don't have as many or might be mindful of the discretionary spending because they don't know what's happening. So I think so I'm a hybrid of a lot of things. Like, embrace the fear because they're very real things, right? Like, am I gonna have money to buy food, and all these other important things on a survival level. But the other thing I'm also mindful of is the anxiety, like the wellness to your mental headspace. And so I find that the advice I'm giving is to be still. Like, if there are ideas coming and they're flowing, just write it down, let it marinate, because I don't ever want to be in a position where I'm just frantically running something down and I don't know how it's going to work out. So yes, be creative with your ideas down, flesh them out. But I'm also trying to be still, because the most important things is my well-being, the well-being of my kids, my family, and then figure as I go through, like, work through what's the next move. But I also, I agree, it's a great time to be creative, but I also think that measured, because we still don't know what's coming on the other side of this. So if you have a bunch of ideas, yes, now is the time to map them out. And then once the coast clear a little bit, you can say, okay, which one of these ideas go launch first? That is the approach. So stillness, I can't stress enough, because there's enough anxiety to go around. Starting a business is not for the faint of heart. You don't want to add this to the anxiety from whether you're going to catch something.
So Kalilah, tell us, you're going to get the last word here on this one. Or wait a minute, did Jodi already?
Yes, I started.
Okay, I'm going to edit all that out. Okay, so Kalilah, tell us, with your business, it's a lot online, but it's also a lot of employees coming in and people getting things done and brick and mortar business. How are you dealing with the shift and the change, and what is your piece of advice for people in your same situation?
So what I would really recommend to, especially business owners who either have like a retail store or, hopefully you guys are already doing online sales, but I would really recommend, I think Kerri hit it spot on, is to be still, as well as the creativity and the innovation. Those are amazing advices. But I would really tell people to go back to basics. So for me, because I don't have employees, I don't have employees who can work right now, as well as me being able to, ship out and do things. I went back to basics. Maybe that's bringing some stuff home and shipping and doing things from home. That's all things that you really have to be. You have to be able to shift and to be innovative during this time.
Definitely. You guys have given some amazing, amazing business advice. I hope that everyone who is watching has been taking notes and can really get rid of the fear and do what you're destined to do. So really quickly, we're going to go through and have everyone tell you what they're up to right now, what their projects are, and how you can support them. We will start with Kerri.
So quick, go to Kerri-Annfriends.com. You can get your Caribbean Girl Boss shirts or Unapologetically Caribbean or any other t-shirt that we have that celebrates culture. And I've been doing a lot of training or coaching on editing podcasts. A lot of people want to get into that space. So I've been doing a lot of that. But go to Kerri-Annfriends.com or Breadfruit Media. I have some trainings coming out. People are asking for courses. So I'm excited about that. And, this takes a while, but we'll get through it. Whatever else people want, listen to the customers. That's the advice. Listen to what the customers want. So Kerri-Annfriends.com. Thanks, everyone.
Jodi?
Hi. Okay. So everyone, obviously check out ubersoccercruise.com. Learn more about the Soca Cruise. It is now the largest Soca Cruise in the world. I'm really excited about that. It's a project that's near and dear to my heart. ubersoccercruise.com. If you're interested in any marketing advice, strategic planning, or just taking your business to the next level, please check my marketing firm out, jdlewisgroup.com, which is on the screen. And of course, I've just recently launched Soca Sisters, which is a necklace brand that basically is a pay it forward gift. I've met so many amazing women around the world, and I've always wanted to give them a physical gift that let them know how much I loved and appreciate their impact into my life. And this is a physical way of doing that. So you can get this for a friend, a girlfriend that has been there to love, support, and someone that you trust. And that's SocaSisters.com. And I really appreciate the time and having me on. So thank you so much, Soca Moms. I appreciate this.
Nicole, tell us what you have happening.
So like Jodi said, thank you for doing this. This is amazing. Like, this is so well needed, and I am happy to have been a part of it. But if you go to, anyone else will go to Nicole Barrett for all the information, which will include information on a resort that my company and I represent called Calabash Cove, which is in St. Lucia. You'll also get information on my academy, which is my academy for travel pros to help you grow your audience. So it's audience growth and marketing. You'll find information there. That opens on May 4th. Try and remember that. But to get started right away, one quick actionable step you can take. You can also get a list of my my book list of it's basically marketing and business growth book list. So if you're looking for some books that you want to dive into, like sometime this time, if you may find yourself some time on your hands, this is a great start. Nicole Barrett for all of that, for my marketing book list, as well as to see all the hotels that I consult with and represent, as well as information on my academy.
If you guys would like to support and buy a message in a bottle, you can visit us at www.messinabottle.com. I also teach others how to start and make their own t-shirt company, and you can find my classes at www.thetclass.com. So I'm so happy to be a part of this panel today, and thank you, Soca Mom.
I am so glad that all of you were able to join me today. You all are extremely busy women, and I really appreciate you taking the time to share with everybody how they can get through this, how you're getting through this, and all of your wonderful pieces of advice. So thank you so much. And everybody go check out all of their products and all of their stuff. I'll definitely have links on the website. You can also go to SocaMomSummit.com, and it has speaker pages. So if there's anyone you want to know more about, all of their information is there. All of their social media is there, all of their websites. So if you didn't catch it, you should have been taking notes. But if you didn't take notes, everything is there on the website. So thank you all very much. Everybody take
Thank
care.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.